Have you ever tried bread made with spelt flour? Even better, freshly milled spelt flour? Well, today we're going to be making a delicious loaf of bread with this flour. Spelt has a lot of nutritional benefits and vitamins and minerals, and I personally like it a lot. And it's very gentle on my stomach. Hello and welcome, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing and sharing this video with somebody who might find it helpful. I'll be also posting the ingredients in the description box below. Let's get started. This is the grain mill that I use, and I always begin by turning the motor on before we add the berries. And if you're interested in a similar product, I'm going to post a link in the description box below where you can find this particular impact grain mill. I'll be grinding about 8 cups of grains because I'll be using it on different recipes today. But a simple rule of thumb is 1 cup of berries will yield almost a cup and a half of flour, and I will not sift it. For 1 loaf of bread, I'll be using 3.5 cups of freshly milled spelt flour, and I like to level the cup using the straight part of a knife. This is a 1.25 cups of whole milk that is slightly warm. To that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of honey, 2 teaspoons of salt, and I like to use non-iodized sea salt. I like to give it a quick whisk before adding the rest of the ingredients. Next, I'll add 2 teaspoons of yeast, and I'm using active dry yeast. And again, a quick mix before adding the last ingredient. And finally, 2 tablespoons of oil, and I like to use olive oil, but you can use any oil of your preference. And now let's mix all that together. Finally, let's pour the mixture into the flour. You can use a spatula to combine all the ingredients, or you can also use one of these Danish dough whisk, which is very handy. This is going to be a little bit of a sticky and wet dough. Once everything is well combined, I'll finish with my hand to make sure that there is no flour residue at the bottom or on the sides of the bowl. And please don't forget to wet your hand. Now we'll let it rest for about ½ an hour, and I like to cover it with a plate. After about 30 minutes, I'll wet my hand again and do the first set of stretch and folds. I'll be rotating the bowl as I do 4 or 5 stretch and folds. We will cover it one more time and let it rest for additional 30 minutes, and after that, we're going to do the second set of stretch and folds. I'll cover it again for 30 more minutes, and now the third set of stretch and folds. And we will cover it again for the last 30 minutes. And this will be the last set of stretch and folds. At this time, we're going to grab the dough, tuck it inside to form a ball and create some tension. Then we're going to let it rise and double in size. This might take 2 to 3 hours depending on the temperature in your kitchen area. And after about 2.5 hours, my dough has doubled in size and is ready for the next step. I'll be greasing a loaf pan with butter, and off the camera I repeated the same dough recipe because I wanted to make 2 loaves of bread today. So I'll be greasing another loaf pan, and this one is cast iron. Then I will lightly dust both loaf pans with the leftover milled spelt flour. Next, I will lightly grease the countertop with oil, and I'm using olive oil. I'm dumping the dough on the countertop, and I will flatten it in the form of a rectangle or oval. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I also greased my hand with the same olive oil. Then I'm going to roll it, beginning at one end to form a log. Pinch it on the seam and place it in the pan with the seam side down. And again, this is a little bit of a wet dough, so grab it with both hands carefully and place it inside the loaf pan. You can use a tea towel or plastic wrap to cover the pan. Leave the plastic wrap a little bit loose. We're going to let the dough rise slightly above the edge of the pan, around 1/2 inch. The amount of time depends on the temperature in your kitchen area. I'm going to repeat the process with the other dough that has been rising in another bowl. I'm also going to roll it to form a log, and then I'm going to place it in the loaf pan. And this time I'm using a cast iron loaf pan for this dough. And after about 2 hours, they are ready to be baked. As you can see, the dough is slightly over the edge of the pan. And since the cast iron pan is deeper and taller, that dough did not rise to the top, but both batches of dough are about the same size. Now I'm going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And once the oven has reached that temperature, I'll place both pans inside. They will bake for about 30 to 35 minutes. And after 35 minutes, the bread is ready. They look gorgeous. I like to wait about 5 minutes before putting the loaves of bread on a cooling rack. Because this bread is a little bit fluffier, I like to place them sideways so the top doesn't deflate during the cooling process. It's very important to let the bread cool down completely before you slice it. And now look at this slice of bread. The smell and the aroma is amazing, and the taste is even better. It is so fluffy and spongy, and it has an amazing soft texture. It is simply delicious just like that, but you can add any spreads that you prefer, jams or butter. And this is the other loaf that I baked in the cast iron loaf pan. It has the same texture, the same aroma, and the same delicious taste. And there you have it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you can make this delicious and nutritious bread at home. And if you're interested in any of the products that I have used in this video, I'm going to leave the links in the description box below. Please don't forget to subscribe and share this video with others. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a very blessed day.